So, you've got your mix sounding great, but it's time for that final polish, mastering. Today, we're diving into a plug and play mastering chain you can build in any DAW using stock plugins. Before we even touch a plugin, let's do some quick setup. First, bounce your mix, aiming for peaks around 9 to 6 dBFS. No limiter on the mix bus. Then, import one or two reference songs in the same genre that you really love. Critically, level match those reference tracks to your song. Finally, insert a loudness meter on the very last slot of your mastering chain. You'll be watching this meter the whole time. Let's build the mastering chain top to bottom. First slot, metering. Start with a spectrum analyzer for a visual representation of your mix. The very last slot, your integrated loudness and true peak meter. Crucially, this stays after the limiter. Next up, corrective EQ. The goal here is to remove problems, not remix the track. Keep your moves tiny, between half a dB and 2 dB. High pass filter at 20 to 30 Hz, gently dip around 200-350 Hz to address muddiness, and tame any harshness around 2 to 4 kHz, or sibilance around 8 to 10 kHz. Now for surgical control, we can use a dynamic EQ or multiband compressor. This only clamps down when something pokes out. Use a low band around 60 to 120 Hz to tame big kicks, and a presence band around 2 to 5 kHz to tame sharp vocals or hi-hats. Wide bands, slowish attack, and medium release are key here to avoid pumping. Next in the chain is a glue compressor for some gentle broadband compression. Aim for a ratio between 1.21 and 2:1, a longer attack to let the transients through, and a medium release. The goal is a tiny amount of glue, not obvious squish. Aim for around a dB or 2 of gain reduction on the loudest sections. Now for sweetening EQ, subtle tone shaping after compression. Add a bit of low shelf around 80 to 120 Hz if things feel thin, a high shelf around 10 to 16 kHz for air if needed, and a mid-tilt around 1 to 2 kHz if the mix feels scooped. Next up, subtle saturation. Add density and harmonics, but keep it clean. Drive until you just feel the thickness, and back off if the top end gets gritty. Stereo imaging is optional, but a light touch can work wonders. Mono the lows below 80 to 120 Hz and add a tiny high shelf on the sides above 6 to 8 kHz if you need extra width. Optional but useful, a clipper before the limiter. This shaves fast transients so the limiter doesn't have to work as hard. Set the ceiling around 0.5 dBFS and trim 0.52 dB off the very tallest peaks. If you hear clicks or harshness, back off. Finally, the limiter, true peak mode on. Set the ceiling to -1.0 dBTP for streaming safety. Then push the threshold until you hit your target, loudness without obvious distortion. For R&B or trap, aim for -11 to -9 LUFS I. Pop and EDM can go louder, around -9 to -7 LUFS I, but listen for artifacts. And remember, if the limiter is working too hard, back off on the earlier stages. Last but not least, if you're exporting to 16-bit, add dither at the very end of the chain. Use triangular or noise-shaped dither. Don't dither for 24-bit or 32-bit float exports. To get you started, here are some fast genre presets. Remember, these are starting points. Adjust by ear. For trap and hip-hop, try these settings for compression, sweetening, saturation, clipping, and limiting. For R&B and soul, try these muffins. And for pop and EDM. Before we finish, here's a quick A/B checklist. Level match before and after every plugin. Compare to your references at the same loudness. Bypass each stage to make sure it's actually helping. Check in mono, check at low volume, and always watch the meter. Finally, export. Use 24-bit wave at your session sample rate for distribution. Create a 16-bit dithered wave only if the client specifically asks. And name your file clearly. And last but not least, avoid these common mistakes. Chasing LUFS at the expense of quality. Big EQ boosts on the master, fix it in the mix, overcompression, stacking multiple wideners, and forgetting to level match and A/B. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to visit the dbscrew.com for instant access ebooks on audio engineering and more.